Hi, this is Laura from LIVEVISIONZ.com, and I want to give you some information on, you can tell by your birth chart, especially if you know the time of your birth, where you may have some ups and downs, transformation, or even confusion, or a situation where you may have to help others, right? And you can tell a lot by your chart, knowing what houses rule these, okay? So here's the thing. Go to astro.com. astro.com. My Students of Astrology, it's on the website in the Students Only section. There is a chart originator there. There's a chart. You can create your own birth chart there, and you can look at that. But this is what a chart looks like, you guys. Okay? Here's what a chart looks like. Okay. Or you can even go to Planet Watcher, planetwatcher.com. And then put in your birth date with your birth time, and it's going to show you a chart like this. Okay, put in your birth date and your birth time, and it'll show you a chart like this. Okay, so yeah, but you got to put the city and the country. I don't think Planet Watcher has it where you can put the city and the state and the country. I don't think they do. So maybe you may want to go to astro.com. Anyway, once you find your chart and you have your chart originated, right? What we're going to look at are what house rules Saturn, what house rules Neptune, and what house rules Uranus and Pluto. All right, so what we're going to look at here, Saturn is ruled by Capricorn, and this is Capricorn right here, right here. Do I have something to write with? Let me see. Do I have something to write with? It's not giving me anything to write with. Oh, here, drawing. Here's my arrow. Okay, I need an arrow. All right. Sorry. Huh. It's not giving me my drawing tools, which it usually does. Anyway. Oh, boy. Anyway, so, yeah, I need that. Hold on one second, okay? Okay, here we go. This is your 7th house right here. We see where the pink arrow is? That's the 7th house. That's Capricorn. Do you see? Let me show you the sign better. Okay, that's the sign of Capricorn. Wherever you have Capricorn, right, and Capricorn's ruler, I'm going to show you here, is Saturn. Do you see that symbol right here of Saturn? Okay, that's its ruler. So wherever you have Capricorn is where you may have delays, where you may be learning some lessons, where you may feel restricted, where you may feel like in order to move through this, you're walking through mud, okay? And if this is in your 1st house, this is, you may feel like, wow, just for me, you may feel really responsible at a very young age. It may be very difficult for you to, you may feel like a burden is on you, or either it's put on you or you put it on yourself, right? An overly responsible kind of nature, right? And things don't let up, usually after 35, things become more fun for you. If you have this in your 2nd house, it means you really have to work very hard for the money, right? It means that there could be some restrictions where you may feel like it's a lack of income, or you have to work really hard to earn income, right? Saturn creates delays, and it also opens things up. The magic number for Saturn is 35, so wherever you have Saturn, know that house is going to get better after 35, right? So, okay. What the hell happened here? So anyway, parts making money could be real estate, building, extracting, being a manager, a contractor, is ways in which you may bring in income into your life, okay? All right. If you have Saturn in the 3rd house, this is issues with communication. Communication is not going to get better, or issues with a sibling. Vehicles, short distance travel trips. Some things could be delayed, or you could have neighbors as to the 3rd house too. You may have issues or problems here until after 35 things get better, until you master this. Maybe you're working on communication skills, right? Saturn in the 4th house, feeling responsible maybe for family members, or you know, feeling restricted when it comes to a family, home and family situation, right? Or feeling responsible for a home and family situation, you know, this can be where you feel restricted. So, yeah, this will get better after 35 if you have Capricorn ruling the 4th house. If you have Capricorn in the 5th, this is, you know, could delay in children. You know, this could feel like things are just not happening with pregnancy, having fun, creative projects. You know, it could be a late bloomer when it came to dating. This could be also creative project, could be a job. You know, something that you love, could be work. You may need to learn to have fun with Capricorn ruling the 5th house. Hello, Virgo risings. All right, if you have Capricorn ruling the 6th house of work and daily activities, you are a workhorse. You work very hard. And, you know, there's a lot of structure maybe within your day and day-to-day activities. Maybe you're the person who likes to make sure it's on time. You're planning everything. This time, this place. Then I'm doing this at this time, and then this time. You know what I mean? Or this date, we're going here. There's something about structure in your day-to-day activities that's huge, right? And this also, if you have any kind of health issues that are chronic, this gets better after 35, right? I know it's kind of weird. It's opposite, right? That's true. Now, if you have Capricorn ruling your 7th house, there is, if you get married before 35 or in your 1st house, 4th or the 10th house, if marriage before 35, because it's being hit, it's Saturn in the Capricorn ruling the 7th, or Saturn opposing the 7th in the 10th or in the 4th, which would be squaring the 7th. It's a harsh aspect, so it's saying that marriage before 35 can end in divorce, okay? So if you have Capricorn ruling the 7th house, it could be issues with a partner, restricted from a partner who's older than you, right? Much more mature for their age, right? But it denotes maturity of yourself, too. You may not become mature when in relationships until about 35. That's what it's saying. If you have Capricorn, Saturn in the 11th house, this would be restricted with friends, groups, organizations. Restricted with intimacy. Maybe you're a late bloomer. Maybe when you started becoming intimate, this was later in life. When you think of being intimate with a partner, you're not looking just for a good time. You're looking for the long time. You want something that's going to lead to something stable and long term, right? You're not just a person who just probably goes for flings. This is you maybe having, feeling restricted when it comes to intimacy or you know, and partner's income too. A partner may fall short of security and financial stability, so you may have to pick up the slack for a partner, right? But I want to tell you a good thing. Your sex life gets much better after 35, just saying, okay? If you have Capricorn ruling your 9th or Saturn in the 9th, right, this is you maybe feeling restricted or in your belief system, or maybe with travel. If you have Saturn or Capricorn in the 9th, there could have been stops and starts in your education, right? Maybe you want to go far in your education, but maybe there were some restrictions getting there. That could be too. This is you maybe feeling restricted within your belief system or belief structure. You know, could be that too. This is you working really hard. You know, you may work really hard to achieve 9th house. So to finishing that education or something like that, you know, traveling, maybe you didn't travel until later in life, maybe you didn't travel until you were older, you know, that could be too. Maybe you feel like when I travel, it's always an issue, I always have problems. You know, that can happen with Saturn here, you know. Yeah, if you have Saturn or Capricorn in the 10th house, you really want to achieve status, right? Your status could be very important to you, but you may feel like you don't achieve this status until after 35, and it's through very hard work, right? Being at something very diligently to achieve where you're wanting to go, right? So there could be, and when it comes to marriage too, even in marriage, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm a professor, I'm the CEO of a company, whatever your title is in life, it may be difficult to get there until after 35. Now, if you have Capricorn ruling the 11th or Saturn in the 11th, you may not have many friends, but the friends you do have, you've had your whole life. This reminds me of my 88-year-old aunt. Well, she has a ton of friends, but I'm just saying though, she's had friends since she was 5, and these women are in their 80s. So, you know, this is a situation where you may have friends from childhood, that maybe throughout your whole life you're going to remain friends. So you may not have many. You know, Saturn can kind of restrict this area, and so it can Capricorn. But the ones you do have are long-term, which is wonderful. I'd rather that than having fair weather friends any day. Now, if you have Capricorn in the 12th, or Saturn in the 12th, right, you know, you may feel restricted in some way, shape, or form. Behind the scenes, like something's coming along and you're not expecting it and you feel restricted in some way, shape, or form, you know. And maybe sometimes you feel there's a loss, you know, there's a lot. You may feel like, geez, I'm having to let things go in my life that maybe I thought would bring security or stability into my life. There could be, you know, in your life you're feeling like, gosh, I'm having to let go of things. What is this? You know, and it's things that you don't see coming. And this gets better after 35, just to let you know. Okay? So now we're going to talk a little bit. Now Saturn, Ava, Saturn is meant to teach you structure, boundaries, and stability, right? And what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse, right? That's what Saturn's there for. Now we have Uranus. Let's go to Uranus next. Uranus, the ruler to Uranus, Uranus rules the house of Aquarius. So wherever you have the house of Aquarius, and this is the Aquarius sign, and the symbol for Aquarius is Uranus. This is here, Uranus, and this is Aquarius, right? So look on your chart to see what house you have Aquarius in, right? And whatever house you have Uranus, it tells you more information. This is where you may experience a lot of ups and downs in your life. This is where you may experience you want a lot of liberation and freedom, right? This is where, you know, you think outside the box. You could be innovative, right? If it's your first house, you wanted to be unique. You wanted to be eccentric. And I love the way I am, and don't hold me back, and I'm not a sheep, and I want to be who I am. And if I want to put my hair like Cyndi Lauper, so be it. You know, this is you being, I own my unique self. And I don't want to be a sheep. I am who I am. Take me or leave me. That's you. Now, and this is you. I want liberation. I want freedom to be who I am, right? I think outside the box. I do my own thing. You know, you could be a real trailblazer. Now, if you have Aquarius or Uranus in the second house, this is you being innovative when it comes to your earned income. Doing things in a very unique way. A unique job, right? There could be peaks and valleys when it comes to income. A commission-based job may be better, right? If you have Aquarius, Uranus in the third house, this is where you may want liberation with communication, freedom, and saying what you want to say, right? Being who you want to be, and going where you want to go, because third house is short-distance travel trips, right? So there could be ups and downs with siblings, with neighbors, and with communication in your life, right? If you have Uranus or Aquarius in the fourth house, this is going to be where you have home and family situations. There's a lot of ups and downs. You could have moved several times in your childhood, right? So this is like expect the unexpected when it comes to a home and family situation. And this is where you want liberation and freedom. Maybe you're like, I can't wait to move out of here. I want my own place. That could have been you at a young age, right? But this is where you kind of want to break free from, you know, liberation and freedom in the fourth house of home and family, you know. If you have this in the fifth house, be careful of unplanned pregnancy, and you could get pregnant in a very unconventional way as well, like IVF or something like that, using technology, right? You could have a very unique way as to how to raise your children. There could be a lot of ups and downs when it comes to your kids, right? But in any event, there is a form of being innovative when it comes to dealing with kids and to being unique here. And your kids could be very unique and innovative as well. If you have this in your sixth house, it's very hard to plan your day because there's unexpected things going on in your day-to-day activities, right? You could be a humanitarian when it comes to service to others, right? Big time. And if you have Uranus or Aquarius here, this is when it comes to your health, like there could be ups and downs, you know, peaks and valleys. And, you know, Aquarius does rule rare things, but Aquarius also does rule the ankles and the electrical impulses of the body. So you could have anxiety, right? So, but yeah. And it's also maybe more humanitarian efforts on your work and day-to-day activities as well. If you have Aquarius in the seventh or Uranus in the seventh, one or you or a partner may want a certain amount of freedom and liberation in the partnership or relationship. You may have an unconventional type of relationship in your lifetime, right? There could be unexpected things that happen, ups and downs within this relationship, maybe until you realize and give the other person the amount of freedom or liberation they're needing. This could be you or the other person, right? Figuring out a balance is key here. And, you know, yeah, this could, again, like I said, be unconventional. You or your partner could be very detached as well. If you have Uranus or Aquarius in the 8th house, this could be ups and downs with a partner's income. This can be ups and downs with joint income, unexpected money. So you want to look at, if you have Aquarius ruling this area or Uranus here, you want to look at do you have a Jupiter conjunct Pluto or good aspects between Jupiter and Venus and, good aspects between Jupiter and Uranus and Venus. If so, you could have unexpected lottery. You know, you want to look at that. But I want to say, too, this could be ups and downs in your sex life. This could be a partner's taste in sex could be very unconventional to what is considered society's norm. So you want to look at that, right? So that's the 8th house. Unexpected money being spent and also money given, right? It's also taxes. 8th house, ups and downs. You want to make sure that you're looking at taxes clearly, too. If you have Uranus or Aquarius in the 9th house, unexpected travel, wanting liberation and freedom from a certain way of thinking, a belief system. You could have an unconventional way of thinking, right? So, you know, there could be a lot of ups and downs here, too, until you value your own uniqueness. I want to say if you have Aquarius or Uranus in the 10th house of status, there could be ups and downs in your status. And you may want liberation and freedom within a status, and your status can change at a given drop of a hat, moment's notice. But also there is a note to say here that there could be an interest in being humanitarian in your title, like some sort of handling things for others, wanting fairness for others, and all that stuff. You know, like socialized medicine or something, you know. A lot of politicians may have this, and they have Aquarius in the 11th house as well. A lot of groups and organizations. But I want to say for you, 10th house, this is you wanting liberation and freedom. There's ups and downs with your status until you give yourself a certain amount of freedom, and there's a certain amount of detachment that you have as well with your title. So I think that until you give yourself a certain amount of freedom to do what you want to do. So let's say you're Mrs. Smith, right? And you're like, well, Mr. Smith, this is going to work out great, but I don't want to live with you. I want to live in my own house. And I kind of want to do what I got to do for work. You know what I mean? So let's meet up 4 times a week, but we'll, you know, meet up at one of our houses, but we live in each of separate homes. That's the kind of uniqueness I'm talking about. Very unconventional. Maybe marriage, maybe title, we're married but we don't live together. It's something unconventional here, you know what I'm saying? You know, maybe, you know, you are, I don't know, you know, there could be something in your title that it deals with being humanitarian and helping others in some way, shape, or form, right? So maybe you're working on socialized medicine or something like this, right? It just reminds me of that. Advising others in some way, shape, or form. Being an advisor could be there too. Anyway, going to the 11th house. If you have Aquarius or Uranus in the 11th house, you have different friends from different walks of life. Hello, Mr. or Mrs. Politician, right? So different friends from different walks of life. And, you know, I want to say nobody can pigeonhole you to a certain group or organization. You may belong to different ones. And you don't really belong to one niche. All right, and you don't belong to a clique. In high school, maybe you were friends with everybody. That is misplacement. You want liberation. You can have a lot of ups and downs with friends, groups, and organizations, but you want liberation and freedom within these groups and organizations as well, right, to be who you are. When it comes to the 12th house, Uranus and Aquarius ruling the 12th house. Unexpected things. A mother's childbirth with you, because it rules the utero. Could have been hairy, like unexpected things going on at the time of your birth. Also, there could be a lot of unexpected things that arise into your life that you're going to have to kind of work through that you may not see coming, and they're going to throw a curveball at you, and you're going to have to kind of work through these unexpected things behind the scenes. So that is Uranus and Aquarius 12th house. So let's say if you have Neptune, right? Neptune. Now here's Neptune, Pisces. Here's the sign of Pisces, what it looks like, right? And the sign of Neptune, this is what it looks like a pitchfork, kind of like a pitchfork. So Pisces, okay, here's the sign of Pisces. So Neptune and Pisces. And the co-ruler is Jupiter. I have to mention that. The co-ruler, this has a co-ruler of Jupiter. So you want to look where Neptune is and where Jupiter is for more information on the house of Pisces, right? So Pisces is where you serve or suffer. It could be a house where you feel deceived or deluded, or you're not sure. There's a lot of confusion, illusion, and deception, right? So this may be where you want to tune out of life, you know? Just kind of, let me just sleep through this phase, please. You know, it's just kind of that energy, right? And the Neptune here, wherever you have Pisces or Neptune in the houses, denotes where, you know, you're being called to be of service to others, right? And it says you serve or we suffer. So the thing here is knowing who to serve and who not to serve. Like, in other words, I want to help this person because, oh my gosh, I love this person. I can help them. But maybe you're doing them a disservice because they need to help themselves, because maybe you're enabling them to become an addict. Okay? So we need to know where we put our service to and where we don't, right? So, all right. And I'm going to highlight. Let me see. Oh, am I going to? I'm not allowed to highlight. Okay, anyway, I was going to highlight, but whatever. Anyway, if you have this in the first house, you could be very psychic, very intuitive, clairvoyant, but very giving and compassionate. Wow, big time compassionate, right? Neptune in the rising sign is psychic, but it's also a very compassionate sign, right? And it is also where you maybe be called to be of service to others, right? Pisces, through your whole life, you're going to be called to be of service to others. And it could be difficult, right? Neptune also rules creativity, just so you know. So you may be a creative person, a spiritual person, and also it does rule. Neptune is also where you want spirituality and creativity, right? It's where we're spiritual and creative, but there's a lot of illusion, delusion, and deception. So you have to make sure that people aren't taking your kindness for weakness. Pisces rising. If you have Pisces or Neptune in the second, this is where you earned your income. So this area of your chart, this can be a doctor, marine, chemicals, oils, painters, hospitals, prisons, because Pisces rules the 12th house in astrology. Psychologist, artist, designer, entertainment, dealing with charities as well. Yes, and this can also be dealing with photography, because photography is seen with Neptune. Movies, marine, pharmaceutical, psychics, poets, creative fields, or spiritual fields, right? So those are some careers with Pisces or Neptune in the second. And I want to say to you, make sure that nobody is deceiving you when it comes to your earned income. When you deal with that checkbook, make sure you know what's coming out and what's coming in. Because either you could deceive yourself, or you could be deceived on somebody charging you too much or taking out what they're, or like saying they're going to pay you something and not pay you what you deserve, right? So you need to look at that and make sure people aren't taking your kindness for weakness when it comes to money. But you are called to be of service, and there may be some situation where you may be helping someone financially in a situation. Okay? Hold on one moment. Oops. Okay, sorry about that. Now, Pisces, if you have Pisces in the third house, or if you have Neptune in the third house, you got to watch communication. There could be a lot of deceptive communication or communication that you kind of have to sift through. Think of Neptune as a big fog machine, right? And it's it's a foggy area. And when Neptune goes direct, you can start to see that fog a little more clearer. But when it's direct, it's like a big old fog hose in that house. So you need to make sure you're looking at communication clearly. There's no deception or delusions. This can be played out with siblings, neighbors, cousins. And this where maybe also you may be of service. You may need to help a sibling, a cousin, or a neighbor, or something like that in your life, right? But make sure nobody's taking your kindness for weakness. Now, if you have Pisces or Neptune in the 4th house, same thing as this is with your family. You want to make sure you may be called to be of service with family sometime in your life, but you need to make sure that you're not enabling them and that nobody's taking your kindness for weakness as well, right? So that's what I'm seeing. This could be where there's maybe you come from a spiritual home, a creative home, could be that too. There can be drug abuse, alcohol abuse when it's in the 4th house. Okay, just saying, it can be. Neptune in the 4th house can be some kind of, you may over-idealize one parent. Okay, you may over-idealize a parent and kind of have rose-colored glasses for who they really were. That can happen with Neptune in the 4th, okay? If you have Neptune or Pisces ruling the 5th, okay, you need to make sure you're looking at your kids clearly, right? In romance, when you're starting a romantic situation, make sure you're not falling in love with their potential, but who they really are. 5th house Pisces is where you may be tested on becoming of service to others when it comes to a romantic situation, a child, you know. This could be where you're very creative project. You could be doing something creative or very spiritual, right? These things may interest you even for fun. But you want to make sure a child or a romantic partner isn't taking your kindness for weakness as well, okay? If you have Pisces ruling the 6th or Neptune in the 6th, I want to say to you, you need to be careful of chemicals, right? Chemical dependencies. You could be very sensitive to chemicals like allergies or drug reactions and things like this. So you have to be careful. Be careful of not overly drinking or anything like that, or substance abuse. Also, especially if you have Moon conjunct Neptune. If you have Moon Neptune, same thing. Be careful of chemical substance abuse and those other things. 6th house is your work and day-to-day activities. You may be spiritual. You may be very creative within your work and day-to-day activities, right? You may be called to be of service to others within maybe you're a nurse or a doctor. You could be called to be of service to others in your work and day-to-day, but just make sure nobody's taking your kindness for weakness and deceiving you in some way, shape, or form. You want to make sure of that, okay? Now, when it comes to your 7th house, if you have Pisces ruling the 7th or Neptune in the 7th, you want to make sure you're not falling in love with someone's potential for who they really are. Hello, Virgo rising, just saying. You may always feel, well, with my help, I can help a partner. This is the Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm sorry, it's so true. This is like the guy who wants to save the chick who's like constantly they're the people who fall in love. Okay, they're the people who can fall in love with science projects. Science projects are people who need a lot of help. It's like an endless pit of help. So what you have to do is have discernment. If you have this placement and know who to help. In other words, okay, I'm just enabling this person to do drugs, alcohol, or I'm enabling this person to be dishonest to me. But you need to discern, because you're going to attract partners who need help in your life. It doesn't matter. You're going to. Thing is knowing who to help. I'm going to help that guy who's living with his mom because his house is being sold and, you know, he's just living there temporarily, versus the guy who lives in his mom's basement because he has no ambition in life to move out ever. And she does his laundry and he has free meals. Do you see my point? That's this. Make sure you don't fall in love with someone's potential instead of looking at who they are in the here and now. You know, when we say, well, with my help, I can clean his ass up and make him look really hot. And I'm sure with my help, I can get him that job, right? With my help, I can get him to stop drinking and stop doing drugs, right? And then he could be the perfect hubby. That's Virgo rising people, man. I'm not kidding. But here's the thing. He's got to want to stop those things on his own. You can't be Captain Save-A-Ho, and you can't be, you know, Captain, you know, Save a Science Project man either. You know what I mean? So you got to, this is the savior victim. This is I want to save them kind of a thing. You can't save nobody unless they want to save themselves. But you're gonna be of service, need to be of service to somebody, like a partner in your life, in some way, shape, or form. But you just want to do it not to your detriment, okay? If you have Pisces or Neptune in the 8th house, you want to make sure a partner is being honest in regards to income, taxes, or intimacy. This is where we could deceive ourselves or feel deceived by a partner when it comes to an intimate situation or money situation. This is also where we're very romantic, and the romance could be better than the reality, right? So we want to make sure that partner is being honest and upfront, and that we're looking at things clearly when it comes to money and intimacy as well. Are we just attracted to the fantasy of the whole thing, if it's not really it's not playing out that way, then we're disappointed? Pisces here has an uncanny psychic ability to know what their partner wants in the boudoir. So make sure that a partner is not taking your kindness for weakness, okay? Just make sure of that. All right, if it's in the 9th house, Pisces, Neptune, 9th house, this is where you could be very spiritual, very religious. Your belief system could be huge for you, right? And I want to say, you know, make sure that people in places at a distance, you know how those people call you and then they say, oh, I'm from Nigeria and I need all this help, right? You know, and little do you know, they don't really need help. They're just trying to snag you out of your funds. Make sure people in places at a distance are not trying to lie to you or deceive you, right? This is also legal. This is your second husband if you've been married a first time, right? If you've been married a second time, your second husband could be spiritual, creative. Just make sure that you're not falling in love with potential instead of reality, and make sure the person, you know, there could be a person with addictions here, drugs or alcohol. You want to make sure somebody is not, I want to say here, you could be doing something creative with teaching, writing, publishing here as well, right? But this is something also where you may not see something clearly. You may want to make sure that you see something very clearly in this 9th house, your belief system, right? Dealing with people and places at a distance, and this could be a second husband for some. All right, 10th house, Pisces or Neptune in the 10th house. You know, this is your status. This is your title in the world, right? So make sure you're looking at this clearly, right? Make sure that nobody's taking your kindness for weakness, right? So let's see here. This could be a doctor, marine, chemicals, painters, hospitals, prisons, psychologist, artist, designer, dealing with the entertainment, charity, photographers, movie, marine, oil, pharmaceuticals, psychics, poets, creative, and spiritual fields, okay? But this is also, I'm a nurse. Pisces is very much nurse, doctor, something like this. I'm a psychic, right? And make sure you're looking at things clearly. Or if somebody is using your area of influence, like let's say somebody is using your platform. So let's say you have a platform, or you're on television, or you're a doctor, right? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody comes to you because they know you're a doctor and says, oh man, I have this pain, oh my God, I think it's appendicitis, I don't know what it is, and they're just trying to get drugs. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say somebody sees you have a public platform and they're like, man, I don't want to date this person, but I'm going to try to date them and become a partner to that person because I want them to advertise me and I want to get farther in my career. So they're using you as a stepping stone to get where they want to go. So you want to make sure that somebody's not using you for your status. You know what I mean? But this is also where you may use your status to be of service to others. Example, people who have high influence or high incomes, right, using their status to donate a lot of funds to hospitals who needed masks for COVID. A lot of people donated lots of money or even supplies to hospitals and things like this who needed masks and things like that for COVID. Pisces, this is totally Piscean, right? Medical, supplies, medical. So this is you using your status in some way, shape, or form to help others. You may be helping out hospitals or what have you. Using your status in some way, shape, or form to help another person. But as long as they're not using you for the help, as long as you're agreeing, yeah, I want to help you with this, but, as long as somebody's not pretending to be something in order to get that help, Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. If you have Pisces in the 11th or Neptune in the 11th, this is where you feel like I need to be of service and help my friends, right? Groups and organizations, which is great, as long as they're as long as they're not using your kindness for weakness, okay? But you know, it's so weird. When I had my daughter, she was 10 months old when I had open heart surgery, right? And I wasn't expecting to have open heart surgery. I went into my doctor's office and said, I couldn't say my solar return told me I'd have a heart problem around my birthday, and so I need to get it checked. I didn't want to say that, but I said, hey, my mom died of open heart surgery. I want an echocardiogram to make sure everything's fine. You're fine, you're fine. I had to beg this guy. He finally gave me the test, and it turned out I had a tumor in my heart, and they needed to take it out immediately. So I had immediate open heart surgery. Well, my neighbor was so nice, and she's like, I will help you with your daughter while you're doing. I mean, I had people from church, my neighbor helping me, and and she was over a lot, and because I couldn't lift the baby for 3 months. It was horrible. So she was here a lot, and I looked at her chart, and I'm like, wow. And I'm like, why would she do this for somebody she hardly knows, But she would, and my baby was never unattended, just so you know. My baby was never unattended with anybody I hardly knew. I was always there. I just couldn't lift. So I did her chart, and she had Pisces in the 11th house of friends, groups, and organizations. So she was as a friend helping me, I was so grateful. But this is something where you may be of service to help somebody in some way, shape, or form with a friend. So just need to make sure that that friend is not somebody like a drug addict or an alcohol abuser where they're just going to use you for your money or your help. Hey, I can't pay my bill. You pay that bill for them, and you're enabling them to use that money for drugs. You just want to make sure you don't do that, okay? If you have Pisces or Neptune in the 12th house, this is not seeing things clearly when it comes to hidden enemies or things behind the scenes, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at things clearly, right? There could be things that, unavailable things or things, 12 houses, hospitals, prisons, you may be not, things could have been confusing for your mom when you were born as well. Things could have been, because utero is 12th house, so when you were born, your mother could have been confused, or I don't know what's going to happen, or something like this, And behind the scenes in your life, you may feel like there could be something very confusing for you, like you're not sure, in the 12th house is your hidden enemies too, So there could be, you just want to make sure with Pisces that you're seeing things clearly. It can be very spiritual and very creative, right? But you want to make sure you're looking at things clearly. So the whole purpose of Neptune is, there's illusion here. What do you see? What do you see? Do you see things clearly, or are you falling for some bullshit, right? Kind of a thing. All right. So now we're going to look at Pluto. Now Pluto ruler, the house Pluto rules is Scorpio. There's a sign of Scorpio. Now here's Pluto, but Pluto is also co-ruled by Mars, right? Here's Pluto where the pink arrow is, and here's Scorpio. Here's the sign of Scorpio. It looks like an M with a little thing on it, like a devil's tail. All right. Scorpio is where, in your chart, look at the house that rules Scorpio. This is where you're going to have transformation, where something ends for something to be reborn, right? Something is going to end here, and this may happen over and over again in your lifetime, right? So you may realize this is also where you may have secrets, where things are very private, you know what I mean? And where you have to look beneath the surface on something, right? So this is also where you're going to have some transformation. So if you have Scorpio rising, you're very freaking psychic. Or if you have Pluto in the first house, sexual, passionate, intense, psychic, and alluring. But this is where you may have evolved many times in your lifetime and transform, okay, because of certain things that are going on in your life. Now, if this is in your second house, this would be transforming your job. You may have to reinvent yourself several times in your career, right? And just to give you a few hints on what those careers might be, let's see here. Okay, chemicals, drugs, liquids, insurance, doctors, nurses, police, occult, research, surgeon, psychiatry, forensics, research, investigators, insurance, death, longevity-related, okay, funeral home, technology, psychologist, metaphysics, espionage, all that stuff. So those are just some careers, all right? But you may have to reinvent yourself several times. And you could have a very quiet, secretive career too, right? Like a detective, private eye, something like that, right? All right, third house. You know, there could be you're having to transform yourself several times when it comes to communication, right? How you communicate, you know, maybe you need to change things, you know. Things could be very up and down with a sibling, because it rules siblings, cousins, neighbors. Sometimes things could be very up and down, and you may feel challenged by these people, neighbors, siblings. They're bringing about some sort of change in their life. If you have this in the fourth house, your family is going to go through a lot of transformation and change. In the fourth house of home being ruled by Scorpio, there could have been something very secretive and private going on. So find where you have Pluto and it gives you more information. If you have this in the fifth house, there could be some transformation that you're going through when it comes to children. When it comes to romantic situations, could be careful. That there could be very possessive and controlling, power struggles and power plays. You want to be careful of that. Because here, romance could want that mind, body, soul connection. I want to be all of you. I want, you know, I want to be Velcro to you kind of a thing, you know. So you want to make sure of that, okay? There's an intensity here, right? So if you have it in your sixth house, there's going to be transformation when it comes to your health, and it comes to your day-to-day activities. Yeah, you can bring in some changes. Maybe you're realizing, okay, I got to make changes in my day-to-day. I need to make changes with my health, right? There's transformation that goes on here. Now, if you have it in your seventh house, there is an intensity and transformation that's going on with a partner. Maybe a partner in your life is very transformative to you, and you know, a partner could be very possessive, controlling, manipulative, but all of these things are teaching you kind of what you don't want, right? Or bringing this out of you. Some partners could be an impetus into your life to show you that maybe you're this way. It could go either way. Eighth house, this is transformation with joint income, joint resources, taxes, intimacy. There could be, oh my God, a sexual attraction here that could be on fleek, but it could be like where somebody is so intense and some, you know, you could have this in your chart, and maybe you're like this with everybody, but a person who starts dating you is like, oh my God, that intimacy was off the chain. I felt so passionate. I felt so intense with you, and I never want this to end. And all of a sudden you decide to pull the plug on that person and be like, you know, yeah, it's not working out for me. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? You can't leave me, you know? They're like, what the fuck? And then they're like, to you, you have this all the time. You know what I mean? This isn't something new to you. But to them, maybe they never had it that way. And they're like, what the fuck? And you're pulling the plug, and they're like, this could be where somebody is so, like, possessive, controlling. I'm not leaving, you're not leaving me. You know, this could be a situation where there could be a partner needs to transform his or her income several times. You could be involved in the psychic realm, the occult, metaphysics in some way, shape, or form, or your partner could be. This is mediumship ability, 8th house, Scorpio, big time, right? Let's see. So in the 9th house, this could be you transforming your belief system, making major changes because maybe people and places at a distance have challenged you on your belief system. And maybe it's changing, right? You could write, teach, or publish something that is very intense, passionate to you. You could be maybe even writing a book on sex or intimacy, or, you know, because Scorpio has a lot to do with intimacy, 8th house matters, right? So these things, teaching, writing, publishing, any of those subjects could be of interest to you. You may, your belief system may go through some changes as well, right? This is also seen as the second husband. Second husband, things could be very intense. Make sure you're looking at this person clearly, because there could be power struggles and power plays as well, and issues with intensity and control. Be watchful of that. If you have this in your 10th house, this is playing out in your status, your job. So you may have to transform your status in some way, shape, or form in your lifetime and make some changes, whether it's your marital status, your career status, right? So for you, I feel this is research, investigators, insurance, death, longevity-related technology, espionage, psychologists, metaphysics, chemicals, drugs, liquids, insurance, doctors, nurses, police, occult, metaphysics, research, surgeons, psychology, and forensics. Those are just a few careers that you may have. But there could be where you're transforming your title in your lifetime. There could be transformation in your title, right? And there could be power struggles and power plays when it comes to your job or your title in life or, you know, your status. You know, power struggles and power plays, right? Like, look at this, what's going on with the Prince, Harry, and Meghan Markle, right? I mean, trust me, that's power plays and struggles with the monarchy right now and how they're handling her. And she's trying to, I mean, in my opinion, you know, whatever. If you can, we can agree to disagree. I really don't give a crap. I'm just saying. In my opinion, she's saying how she felt, and you really can't invalidate someone's feelings. But you know, especially if they're that way, people can't only see this. They can't really see how we really are. They can't see we're real people with real feelings. You can never go to a psychiatrist. That's fucking up. That's kind of fucked up. But anyway, do you see how that's playing out with her status? Yeah. And you see how her status was transformed. She's like, take the job and shove it. I don't, you know, they kind of stepped away because it was horrible. That's a perfect example. Now I'm going to give you an example. If you have it in the 11th house, right? This is for friends or groups or organizations could create a lot of transformation in your life. Could they create drama? Yeah. Scorpio is drama. Yes, it is. So just want to watch that. Especially if you have your North Node in Scorpio. You want to be careful with drama, or your South Node, you're getting away from drama. So, 11th house, it could be drama with friends, groups, organizations, power plays, power struggles, manipulation, the lure. If this is in your 12th house, there's changes in your life, things that may happen and that may end in your life that you're going to have to kind of roll with the punches with. And then you're like, well, that ended. I have to make some change accordingly. I didn't see that coming. You know, that can happen with the 12th house, right? So anyway, I hope this was helpful as to understanding the outer planets and how they may affect you. So Saturn is where you have restriction. It gets better after 35. Neptune is where you have confusion, illusion, and where you may have to be of service to others, right? Serve or suffer. Uranus, you know, Aquarian energy, is where you're going to have a lot of ups and downs, unexpected crap, right? Pluto is where you're going to, over time, creates big change. Big changes. Scorpio, Pluto energy changes. Change. Change. And that's totally Meghan Markle, man. She's really creating some changes for the monarchy, isn't she? But and whether you, I'm not going to make this a controversial video about Meghan Markle. Like, that's, the purpose of the video is learning astrology, okay? So don't fucking start arguing with me about that crap. My Mars is in Aquarius, and I don't have time for that shit. So whether you agree or disagree, the world is changing, whether people like it or not. Aquarian energy is afoot. And whether you want to roll with the changes or stay back in the past, you're going to get trailblazed. People are going to, you know, bulldoze your ass unless you start going with the changes. And I'm talking about Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius, right? And Aquarius, you know, you're a fixed sign, but there's changes going on for you big time. You know, even though you're the impetus for change in a lot of times, right? So in Scorpio, you rule Pluto. This is you saying, I don't want change, because you're experiencing so much change in your lifetime, being ruled, you know, co-rule your rulers, Pluto. I can see where you don't want change, you know, but you're going to have to, you know, let me just tell you guys, wherever you have, whatever planets you have, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpios, where you may be a little stubborn. I don't want this to go this way. I want to change. I don't want to. And when you're having some hard planets, sometimes it's especially Saturn, you want to just kind of just go with the flow, like a twig upon a mighty stream. Otherwise, you know, you're fighting the current there, you know. So anyway, that's my advice. Take it or leave it. That's fine. But anyway, this is my video. I hope you found it helpful. If you want to get involved in my classes, they're on download right now. 140 some videos, or no, I'm sorry, 80. I'm up to 80 some videos now. Teaching videos, okay? So anyway, you have 4 automatic downloads videos, and then the rest of them, I'm going to be giving you a password. You're going to create your own password on my website and get access to the students only section so you can access all of these videos, teaching videos. I hope you found this helpful in looking at your chart to kind of understand where the universe, when you're born, is asking you to make changes, and where the universe is telling you there may be some ups and downs, right? And where you may feel deceived or deceiving yourself or deceived by others, and where you may need to be of service to others in some way, shape, or form, and what house you may feel a deep restriction in, right? So anyway, then this restriction, asks for responsibility. Wherever house you have Capricorn, is requiring great responsibility in that house. Things don't get better until 35, and everybody has this somewhere in their chart. Everyone has Capricorn. Everybody has Aquarius. Everybody has Scorpio. Everybody has Pisces. So you just find where it is in your chart to understand what the universe is asking you based on your personal chart. You're going to need to know your birth time for this, you guys. All right, I love you. I hope you found this helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.